Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you had a great week. Once again, markets are all over the place. The Dow is riding a 7-day win streak coming into today, but we'll save that information to wrap up in the Monday market update. Today is May 10th, 2024, and this is your Friday planning video. I'm going to start today with another tale from the front line, revisiting an item from a few months ago, cash management. As of May 1st, according to the Investment Company Institute, there was a total of $6 trillion in money market funds. Now, I spent probably 4 or 5 weeks of planning videos talking about making sure your hard-earned money, that uninvested money, is working for you. I'm still getting the calls, as at least a few a week, talking about cash sitting in the big banks earning 0.01%. I will not name the banks, but those big banks with the big buildings, you know what they are. Most of those checking and even savings accounts are not paying even a respectable level. When the Fed funds rate's over 5%, and there are a lot of places to hold your cash and earn 5% or more on cash, this is still an important thing. So please check your cash balances, check your balances, make sure your cash is working for you. And here's the key. There are a lot of ways to search and find a good place to hold your cash. Call me if you want some assistance with that. When you find that bank, please be careful. It has happened more than once that you sign up for that 5% bank account, and after your money's in place, that fine print story comes out. So be careful. It has happened that you sign up and you think you're getting it at 5%, then you find out after a month that you're back to below 1%. So just to sum it up, find high rate banks and high rates in FDIC insured banks if you can, and confirm that you're actually getting the advertised rates. Okay, let's move on from there. Let me lay it out again. I do not give personal tax or legal advice. Post April 15th, I've been working with many of your tax professionals reviewing your 2023 returns, and we're working to do everything possible to minimize your tax liability. Remember, this team approach is one that I've found to add a lot of value to the relationship. Please consider connecting your team together. In keeping with that, I want to speak to 2 items that we're finding that affect those tax liabilities. First, let's talk about the investments themselves and how that affects the return and after-tax returns. Over the years, there have been some changes to the products and even the makeup of some of those products. Let's talk about dividends. This is something that's been changing over time. Historically, the dividend yield has been from a record low of 1.08% and a record high of 6.66%. Today, it's about 1.36%, not really that high, but I will point out that that is an average, of course. There are a lot of good companies that pay much higher dividends and a lot of good companies that pay no dividend. So just to be clear again, I'm not giving personal tax advice, but just some information. Until 2003, dividends were taxed as ordinary income. So it is not much of a stretch to set your income account up with dividend. It wasn't to set your dividend account up with dividend paying stocks, and just know that you will still pay income taxes on that dividend income. Comes along the Jobs and Growth Tax Relief Reconciliation Act of 2003. That established a new category of dividends, qualified dividends. Tax rates on qualified dividends are no longer taxed at ordinary income. Please consult your tax advisor to get a handle on the exact rate, but it can be between 15 and 20% versus your ordinary income tax rate, which is usually much higher. Unqualified dividends are still taxed as ordinary income, so watch for that too. Over the past years, many investment plans have brought dividend-paying stocks to the forefront of your portfolios. This has done a lot of great things, though it's not always the case, but these dividend stocks have often been viewed as more stable investments. They're also great sources of income, but one of the offshoots of this is the taxes that come from the added income. Many portfolios are built with dividend stocks, not for the income, but for the other benefits, as I've mentioned. Holding stocks like that with the perceived stability of the businesses. The idea here is that if they're paying a dividend, 2 things. 1, I can wait, and if the growth is slow, as my total return is going to include that dividend. And also, if the businesses have the money to pay a dividend, chances are they're doing okay, and the businesses will be okay. This is not always the case, but it is part of the story. With all the good that these dividend stocks bring, there is a surprise at the end of the year when that 1099 arrives. This is not good or bad on its own. It's just an important issue to work with as you address your taxes. The income sometimes can be a pretty big number. As I've said, this is a part of your total return, but unlike growth in a stock that's unrealized, thus not taxed until you sell it, even if you don't spend these dividends, and even if you reinvest these dividends, you will still be taxed on it. Again, not good or bad by itself, just something to bring into your planning, and better to do that now when you have the rest of the year to work on that tax plan. The other item is that is similar in this is something we talk a lot about in the retirement plan space. I've spoken recently about the Roth IRA, which, as I mentioned last week, was formed by the Taxpayer Relief Act of 1997, also the Roth 401k. There are a lot of factors that should be examined when you decide to use the Roth or the traditional deductible type of retirement plan. This is a great time to revisit your tax returns, talk to your tax advisor to determine what the outcome of either choice is. The other main surprise we see is that when you make changes to your IRA contributions from traditional to Roth, or more notably from your 401k or 403b contributions from traditional to Roth, that take-home pay may change, since you're now taking a percentage from your after-tax pay versus your pre-tax pay. So you should also note that taxable income may increase. So again, that line should be considered in your tax planning. Quick note to those who participate in plans that, with the passage of Secure Act 2.0, will add a Roth match to their plans. Matching contributions had been only in the traditional side. So if you'd been getting a match into your traditional 401k, it was going in tax deferred. You dealt with it when you took the money out. We talk about that part a lot. But with the Roth match, which is new, if you participate in that, just take note, that match, whatever the dollar amount is, will be reported as income to you. And that income has not been taxed yet, and nothing has been withheld to account for those taxes. So that is not a major game changer, but if your company matches you with, say, $6,000, that's $6,000 in income that will need to be accounted for in your income taxes. Again, these are not earth-shattering facts or numbers, but as we look at your tax returns and try to maximize the amount of money that you get to keep, this is one of those incremental changes that we can take note of to try to better that after-tax return. Okay, a lot of tax stuff today, and this close to April 15th, I did warn you that we'd be addressing this stuff when we talked about things before April 15th. So one last reminder, I don't give personal tax advice. All of this is the work that we do with the team of advisors that are myself and your tax advisor and possibly your legal advisor. I think that is enough to share for today. I'll be back next week to talk more about planning ideas. We're bringing it to our meetings. Please let me know if there's something that you want me to discuss. For now, have a great weekend and stay in touch.